In this election year, investors will wait and see on their investment until the new president is elected. Economic and political uncertainty was once considered as one of the investors' greatest concerns. Investors were concerned about political situation which will affect their business activities and also economic policy that makes it difficult on investors to invest. On the other hand, the transition to a new government hopefully will not affect the investment climate in Indonesia. Before talking more about this, let's take a look at this one. The government is putting serious effort to increase investment climate in Indonesia. Through the Investment Coordinating Board, the government is optimistic that it could reach the investment target in 2014 of 458 trillion rupiah, or increase of around 15% of the achievement in 2013 of 398 trillion rupiah, equal with $3 billion. Government is now focusing on the policy to improve investment climate to convince investors that investing in Indonesia is safe and convenient with a lot of great opportunities. In approaching the presidential election, investment growth this year was predicted to remain stable. This would not affect national economic condition and investors' confidence to invest in the country. Government hopes to improve the productivity by giving an added value in natural resources management in Indonesia and also improving the trade balance. The economic growth of 2014 is still promising. It is hoped that political year, including also presidential election and transition to new government, would not affect investment climate and investment realization. Moreover, in the upcoming year of 2015, Indonesia is entering the year of tougher competition following the implementation of ASEAN Free Trade through ASEAN Economic Community. What real action should be taken to make Indonesia remain attractive as investment destination? We will discuss about it on Revenues International. To discuss more about investment climate in political year, we have Mr. Ariana Nur Akbar, market analyst of Monex Investindo Futures. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
So there are many challenges this year, including for investment, mainly because it is the election year. How big do you think election affecting the investment climate in general?
I think it is not very as hard or as big as we expected. Into the market, but it was like this speculation after that. I mean, like, this is the aftershock of the election. Then what comes after that, this will affect the whole industry.
Okay, so at this situation, what should be done by the government to make investment climate remain conducive?
Well, what is worth, just do not go against the market. If most of the investors say we have to wait and see, then do the same. It is wise to do that.
So how is actually the urgency of limiting foreign investment?
Limiting the foreign investment, I think this is not a wise action things to do.
In this situation?
Yes, this is the capital inflow. We have to accept it and make use of it. Not rejecting it, not ignoring it, not even do not do something about it, but make use of it by making more investment opportunity into Indonesia.
Setting limitation of foreign investment could be a form of nationalism.
Okay.
What's your opinion between this nationalism compared to the need of maximizing investment realization?
It should be balancing. It is like we have to adopt the good or well organization of doing this. I mean, like, we have the capital inflow, make use of it very wisely, but on the other hand, not to make it use 100% depending on that. We have to use our own resources. So to be dependable is not to be independable.
How do you think is the ideal formulation or proportion between domestic and the foreign investment?
Well, it depends. It changes by time. So, but nowadays, I think it would be like 60 to 40. So it would like 60 from the foreign investors and 40 from the local investors.
Okay. To improve investment climate in Indonesia, needs to revive its financial sector, reform its bureaucracy, and maintain macroeconomic, also the political stability. In your opinion, what other factors that are important to improve the investment climate in Indonesia?
This is more to like policies. Policies. How the government will take action on this one, how they will make use of the investment itself, how they will use the resources itself from this country, and to increase the productivity. So it means that we have not to be dependent on import itself, but more likely we have to do export due to this productivity.
But so far, how do you see the policies in Indonesia in this current situation?
It's developing.
It's developing.
It's getting better and better. It's more open, more, let's say, accepting. But then, in this wait-and-see period, we have to see and wait for the real result of what is becoming after this. So, in my opinion, by doing wait-and-see, we have to see chances between those time periods. If we see that, okay, this stocks market is too low, too cheap, we can buy. But if we see that there is no opportunity, look for others. Don't stop at one point, go to other points.
So how should investors anticipating the sentiment from presidential election to safeguard their investment?
This is a lot of questions. I mean, like, a lot of people asking this question, and it is very important. The way I see it, again, do not go against the market. But still, we have to find other opportunities. If we see that, let's just say for one example, that the stock market providing some or several stocks that would be wise to be bought, then go buy. If the condition is not suitable, then stop and do nothing. Just wait and see for, let's say, a short-term period. Say like before the election or maybe a week after the election.
What problem is actually faced by the current investors wanting to invest in Indonesia?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Well, it's unlikely, unfortunately also, that the investors in Indonesia is more to speculate. This speculation made uncertainty, and uncertainty made no result, because there is no certainty. People will think that this is too risky. They will not put their money into the country. So this is the main problem here. The government will have to make it certain, to make it sure that, okay, if you put the money in our country, it will be safe. So the government will have to put more effort on the policies.
So in this current situation, what is the attractive prospective sector to invest in Indonesia?
More likely in stocks, for example.
Stocks?
Yes, it would be like the property construction. It's getting lower and lower. So at one point, many analysts will say this is the time to buy. And the fact that it is happening, almost, let's say, 80% the buyers of stocks in Indonesia is from foreign countries. And this is happening right now, and hopefully this will lifting the economy here.
Okay, we'll be right back after the break. We'll be right back with more discussion. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Our discussion is about investment climate in political year, and we still have Mr. Ariana Nur Akbar, market analyst of Monex Investindo Future. So, Sir Ariana, is there any impact from the electricity tariff increase and also the rupiah fluctuation?
Of course, the capital inflow itself is the result, meaning that by the weakening of rupiah itself accordingly against other currencies, it means that other people from out of Indonesia coming into Indonesia because the weak rupiah itself, the stock price become cheaper, and they will absolutely taking which any of the stocks that is more basically important to the industry in Indonesia, by requiring that they have the control, the upper hand on the industry.
So, what are the strategy to attract more foreign investors to invest in Indonesia?
Well, in what sector? I mean, like all the industries itself, or another industries such as banking?
All of the
maybe?
industry.
Yes, really industry, only the industry that. I think the way it should be like the government has the main control, that they have to be open up, of course, by not any limitation that it should not be controlling the industry by the foreign investment. Meaning like, okay, the government will have at least 60%, the 40% will be put in the public sector.
Yeah.
So any investment can be taken into consideration by foreign investment within reach of 40%. But the other will be, well, considering the nationality, of course, nationalism,
Yeah.
I think it is wise to have the control of 60% at least.
Okay, so what kind of facility and incentive should be given by the government?
Tax incentive.
Tax incentive.
In many countries in the world, tax incentive is the most probable opportunity to attract investment. So if we can, I'm not saying we have to erase all the tax, maybe make it lower, giving incentives to the infrastructure, maybe to the labor incentives, anything like incentives, it will be more attractive from outside of Indonesia coming into Indonesia by investment.
Okay, so how will the transition of the government this year affecting investment climate in Indonesia and also the policy making related with the investment?
Wow, the effect would be enormous, meaning that we have the resources, the stock is cheap, rupiah is weakening. If the government opening up a little bit of the policies, I think by seeing the condition globally within reach of Asia, these developing countries such as Indonesia is very favorable for the foreign investors.
So what would be the most strategic investment instrument at this moment? Is it the short-term, mid-term, or the long-term investment?
This is a little bit difficult, but I think the short-term, by all means, I think the stocks.
Stocks for the short-term?
For the capital gain. Of course, not any stocks, but the thing that the stock should be sustainable in the longer term for any dividend or capital gain as much as I predicted. For the longer term, it should be like we have to invest in the construction and property, because due to the population in Indonesia, I think the need of this kind of instruments will be delighted to have in the portfolio of investment.
So how to secure a gold investment from the inflation and the currency shocks?
Okay,
is it still attractive, investment in gold?
It is attractive, but in corporate actions, by all means, of course, gold would be not as attractive in contracts. But if we are looking at the retail industry, it would be wise to look at the price. If we have the target for the price of gold, let's just say if the gold right now is at 1,500, let's say 1,500, 1,000 would be the wise price to get. So if we have, let's say, additional income for at least 20%, we can invest in gold. But again, this is the investment. So any investment must be considering the risk. So if you think the gold is in our reach, you can do the buy thing.
So, Sir Ariani, there were recently some bad news regarding the allegedly fraud by financial planner on their clients, leading into billions rupiah losses. So, how to avoid fraud in investment?
Well, I think, again, this is the role of government, meaning that we have to have the standard of competency in doing the auditing itself. So meaning that more to like we have to a self-regulatory company or organization that being independent in doing auditing, in doing the checking, and all the things related to that. So if this has been done quite fully regarded as good investment, I think without any invitation, foreign investors will come to Indonesia and invest here.
Okay, so market players are now waiting for the result of the elected president.
Yes.
What is the best strategy for investors right now?
Right now, mostly is wait and see. But I think if you are not the type of risk aversing, I think this is time to see at the market which one is getting lower, but in the end, related to the sustainability, look at the long-term asset to be both. So if you think construction is good to be held in long-term investment, I think it is wise to get those stocks, those investments, those financial instruments.
Other than the sentiment from the politic, there's also concern on the influence from prediction of trade balance and balance of payment deficit. What should be anticipated from this?
Well, again, this is about importing. Historically, we have done a lot of importing things from outside. So by have a ban on exporting the raw materials, which has been done this year, last year, I think now it is time to get the capital inflow inside the country and start making our own product and result product. So it meaning that we have the product that is ready to be sold.
So far, how do you see government seriousness in reducing the important dependency?
It is hard to say because the government is not formed yet, because we have to wait for the 22nd of July, of course. But the way I see it, again, this is about giving incentive. So tax incentive would be the most important thing to do.
How to anticipate sentiment from the rupiah exchange rate stability?
How to anticipate rupiah exchange stability? I think the government itself not be very regularly have the correct answer. But the way I see, in my point of view, that this is not about the numbers. This is about the value that is balanced. Meaning that, okay, what value, what numbers there is equilibriumly the exact right number to consider to put the money into the country. So if the people say, the investors, the foreign investors think that, okay, rupiah should be like in 11,000 again USD, and they think this is good, they will come in. But the problem is we have not get this balanced value. So in order to do this, we have to historically look at the back of the values, making it average, and think of it as the middle value of it. So that is our target. Let's say if the middle value is 12,000, this is the middle value, this is the right value. So make it happen then. Make it sustain.
Okay, sir, we still have one more segment for discussion, but after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm still with Mr. Ariana Nur Akbar, market analyst of Monex Investindo Futures, and we are talking about investment climate in political year. So, Sir Ariana, how will rupiah depreciation affect the investment?
So, meaning like, how will it go?
Yeah.
I think right now is in short term. Rupiah is getting stronger in short term, because we have to see the time period between right now to 22nd of July, of course, because this is, we are talking about the market. We are talking about the market seeing how the value of rupiah will devaluate or evaluated in short term.
Yeah.
So I think the way I see it, people will not only look at the exchange rate of rupiah, but they will also look at what kind of policies will be regulated by the Central Bank of Indonesia, which is that they have fixed that the exchange interest rate would be like 7.5, but in my point of view, it will not be unstable. They have to make it stable at 7.5 right now.
So, what sectors should be avoided and what sectors would get benefit amid the trend of rupiah depreciation?
Rupiah depreciation, I think this is the kind of industry that is dependent on the rupiah exchange against dollar.
Yeah.
So that's the important thing. The second thing is that we have to consider the long-term sustainability. If we find any financial instrument that is sustainability in long term, I think that is the best idea to invest in.
So dividend payout of listed companies was one of the main things weighted by the investors. How do you see it affecting the market?
Dividend payout ratio. Yeah. This is about giving out the money, the investment result, end result of the investment to the investors. But still we have to consider about the, let's say, the WACC. This is the weighted average cost of capital. Meaning like, if you put money on the investment, you have to consider about the return, about the risk, what kind of cost of debt, what kind of cost of equity that we have to use. The other thing we have to consider is the cost annual growth rate, meaning that how well this financial instrument is growing, at what rate that is sustainably we can buy the stock or the financial instrument or to be sold. The other thing which is most analysis do is that they have the PE, price earning ratio. If the earning is good, then I think the price will follow. But then even though the price is not as good as the earnings, still people will buy if the earnings is as good as they expected.
Okay, so Ariana, if we're talking about the external sentiment, what other external sentiment should be anticipated by the market players and the investors?
Yeah, still the policies out of Indonesia. I mean, like, okay, what kind of the biggest countries, economic countries will do, seeing that Indonesia is the most advantageous target for investment.
Yeah.
So if this is meaning like we have see the reactions of others. Let's just say, what would the neighbor country do?
Yeah.
If Malaysia is doing the incentive for tax, I think considerably we can do the same thing. If the US giving out easing on the economy, I think it is good, it is wise for us to do the same, of course with different rate of result.
How to minimize the sentiment from the external in bringing shock to our market?
To bring shock? Well, this is about anticipating. So I think we have to prepare the infrastructure, at least the portfolio for investors.
Infrastructure, the main classic problem.
Yes, the main classic problem. Because we are not well maintained, this most important factor. If we can do something about this to make it better, I think the investment itself will be more attractive to investors.
So how should investors manage their portfolio?
Well, it is not wise to be a risk taker here. This is the condition of uncertainty, meaning that everything will change within minutes, even seconds. So the best placement of your investment, it is 80% to sustainable investment, portfolio investment. 20% is the most likely to do in speculation.
So any tips and tricks in choosing investment instruments?
Instruments. I think a lot of factors to be considered. So for example, if we think we would like to buy the sustainable growth of stocks, we have to think about the savings, the interest rate. If it is going down or be settled fixed in 7.5, within this condition that the stocks is very low at the price, so we have to think what would we do is to buy the stocks that have high sustainable rate. In that way, we can secure our investment without taking risks to put our money back into speculation market.
All right, Sir Ariana, thank you so much for your time sharing with us. Really appreciate your insights. That was Mr. Ariana Nur Akbar, market analyst of Monex Investindo Futures, talking about investment climate in political year. And up next, we will have some more news and business updates. Stay with Revenues International. Terima kasih.